at factoring trinomials without a leading coefficient, that means we do not have a number in front of the variable that has a square on it. Alright? There's a couple things you need to understand. And when I go to factor it, if it doesn't have a leading coefficient, we're going to fill in the two parentheses. We're going to make us two binomials. So for all these four problems, we got r squared, p squared, x squared, and w squared. Our first step is going just to write our parentheses. Okay? Now, if it doesn't have a leading coefficient, the next step's very easy. Take the letter, put it in each one of them. Okay, now, from here, we're going to figure out what our signs of each parenthesis is going to be. Looking at the problem, here's the easiest thing to do. If the last sign is positive, then both signs will be the same, and both will be the same as the middle sign. Okay, what I just said right there. If the last sign is positive, then both of these have to be either both positive or both negative. How do I know which one it is? Look at the middle sign. That's positive, that means that and that. Because remember, when we full and multiply the last two, a negative times a negative gives me a positive. Over here, last one's positive, middle one's positive, so both of them are positive. Alright. Now, if the last sign is negative, then one is positive and one is negative. All right? So, last sign's negative, one's positive, one's negative. Last sign's negative, one's positive, one's negative. Doesn't matter which one. Okay? Now, with that being said, to figure out which one's positive, which one's negative, the larger factor will have the middle sign. Okay? Now, here, the larger factor is going to be a negative. Here, the larger factor is going to be a positive. Let's look at that. All right? what I mean by factors, here's what we look at. Look at the last number. Write it on top. It's a negative 6. I need two numbers that multiply times each other gives me a negative 6. Always start with 1. Right? We know the larger number is going to be negative, so 1 will be positive, and the larger number will be negative. Right? You always start with 1 in the number. All I'm doing is saying 1 into negative 6 gives me negative 6. 2 into negative 6 gives me negative 3. 3, we already had it, I'm done. Alright, so all I'm going to do now is add 1 minus 6, negative 5. 2 minus 3, negative 1. Now, how do we know which one's going to this? You look. I need two numbers that multiply to give me negative 6, and add together gives me negative 5. There's my factors. A positive 1 and a negative 6. Alright, let's look at this one. We're working with a negative 20. Okay? Start with bigger numbers positive, so our first number will be negative. Negative 1. Negative 2 and a 10. Negative 3, well negative 3 won't go into negative 20, so it's not a factor. Negative 4 will go 5 times. 5, we've already got it, so we're finished. Now let's add them all together. Negative 1 plus 20 is 19. Negative 2 plus 10 is 8. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Two numbers that multiply to give me negative 20, which we found, but add for a positive 1, which is negative 4 and a positive 5. Okay? Over here, we got a positive 16, well both of them are negative. So everything's going to be negative. Negative 1, negative 16, negative 2, negative 8, 3 won't go into 16, 4, negative 4. Add them together, which is negative 17, negative 10, negative 8. So, there, middle term is right there. Negative 4, negative 4. And the last one. Working on 35. Both numbers are positive. So we start with 1 and 35. 2 won't go in 35. 3 won't go in 35. 4 won't go in 35. 5, 7, 6 won't go in 35. We're finished. Add them together. There we go. There's our middle term, 12. So I fill in my middle. 5 and 7. And that's how we factor a trinomial without a leading coefficient.